Hi everyone, it's A Ticket to Christ. We're in the last in the series of Living Courageously. And of course, as usual, this is a big topic. There's so many different examples of living courageously. We've looked at different aspects of it, but it doesn't even touch, the tip of the iceberg. Living courageously through persecution is a big one. And you can, if that is you, read the book of Acts. That's a really good example of how they did it in the face of massive persecution. But the one we're looking at today is Luke 7 from verses 36 to 50. And this is being courageously to come to Jesus in the midst of maybe criticism, or in the midst of people looking down at you, or looking at you self-righteously, but not allowing that to hinder you from going to Jesus and from accepting his salvation, accepting the life that he's offered you. It means having the courage to, no matter your past, no matter how much you don't think that you deserve it, to grab a hold of the free gift that God has given to you through Jesus, and with a heart of humility. And we see it in this woman. It was, and one of the Pharisees desired him that he would eat with him. And he went into the Pharisee's house and sat down to meat. And behold, a woman in the city, which was a sinner, when she knew that Jesus sat at meat in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster box of ointment and stood at his feet behind him weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and did wipe them with the hairs of her head, and kissed his feet, and anointed them with the ointment. Now when the Pharisee which had bidden him saw it, he spoke within himself, saying, This man, if he were a prophet, would have known who and what manner of woman this is that toucheth him, for she is a sinner. And Jesus answering said unto him, Simon, I have somewhat to say unto thee. And he saith, Master, say on. There was a certain creditor which had two debtors. The one owed 500 pence and the other 50. And when they had nothing to pay, he frankly forgave them both. Tell me therefore, which of them will love him most? Simon answered and said, I suppose he to whom he forgave most. And see, he said unto him, Thou hast rightly judged. And he turned to the woman and said unto Simon, Seest thou this woman? I entered into thine house. Thou gavest me no water for my feet, but she had washed my feet with tears, and wiped them with the hairs of her head. Thou gavest me no kiss, but this woman since the time I came in hath not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil thou didst not anoint, but this woman hath anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much. But whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. And so in looking at this, this is one of the passages, the accounts in the scriptures that remind me of what courage looks like. And it might be you feeling like this woman when you want to go to church, when you want to walk back into church, but you're feeling that everybody's going to be looking at you, they're going to reject you. But this woman didn't allow those thoughts and those voices to govern her. All what she knew was Jesus was there, and she was going to go to him. And so a lot of times, and it's not that you're going to church to find Jesus, but maybe you're wanting to be around people who have the answers, that they're walking with the Lord. And so that's why you're going to go to church, to find somebody, hopefully who will study the Bible with you, who will share the gospel with you, but your heart should first of all be reconciled with Jesus. So you're not going to go walking in there looking to people. When you go, you're going because these are God's people, and, you're seeking somebody who's walking with the Lord, and it's not going to be everybody there, but you're going to seek somebody who's walking with the Lord, who can help you grow in your relationship with God, maybe answer questions you have, maybe, do Bible studies with you, whatever, but you might be feeling intimidated, daunted, fearful, thinking, they're going to look at you, you're not going to fit in. And all those things might be true, but this woman didn't let that stop her because she was all about Jesus. And so even though she came across a Pharisee, she looked past him. She didn't stop at that Pharisee, right? And it was the Pharisee's house, right? So, and she didn't let his attitude, his obvious attitude toward her, hinder her from going to Jesus. And so she received forgiveness, and she received what she was looking for, which was an intimate relationship with God. And this we found out in the book of John, I think it's John 12, that this was Mary of Bethany, who anointed Jesus for his burial. It explains in the book of John. She was the one who broke a whole bottle of nard and anointed Jesus with it. And Judas Iscariot, the one who would betray Jesus, was the one who criticized her. And Jesus defended her there again. She was the one whose brother Lazarus, Jesus rose from the dead. And so we see that from this act, just the impact that her life had and just the role that she had in Jesus's ministry in a profound way, to the point that we're still talking about her today. And so it started with her having the courage to walk into that house, the courage to look past self-righteous people, the courage to go directly to Jesus and to seek him for herself, and to not have anybody's attitude, anybody's condemnation, no condemning voices, not even her own sinful life hinder her from going to the one who would accept her, who received her. And you can do the same. So if this is you, just really having the courage to take that step of faith, praying to God, asking him to lead you and to guide and direct your steps. And he will, and not allowing any self-righteous religious person to hinder your search, to stop you in your tracks, or to make you feel, oh, I'm not going to bother because I tried. No, keep trying. I had a situation where I left a church I'd been attending because I didn't agree with them doctrinally, although I love the people, I love Christians. But I wanted to be around people who believed in the full measure of the Holy Spirit, because nothing can happen without the Holy Spirit, and who had a correct understanding that God is one, right? And triune, Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, but triune God, but God is one God. And that the Holy Spirit is the same Holy Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead, and he's the same yesterday, today, and right now. That's who we have access to. And so I pursued looking and coming across people who didn't quite get it right, and maybe you see some churches and you feel like they don't have the presence of God. You're not seeing what is reflective in the scriptures. And then God just continuing to persevere until God is showing me, groups like that are spirit-filled, that are Christ-centered, people who want to love him, who want to know him. They might not be perfect, but their hearts are willing. And God will lead you to people like that. We're all searching, right? So you're not going to find perfection, but when you come across people whose hearts are wanting to please God, you're not going to be running into Pharisees anymore. You're going to be running into people who are, open and willing and receptive to the work and the power and the presence of the Holy Spirit. And so, in verse 50, when you read on to the end, right, Jesus tells her, thy faith has saved thee, go in peace, right? And so living courageously means living faithfully, having faith. You have to have faith in God. You have to believe that he is the God he says he is in the Bible, and that he's shown himself to be in your life. And in believing that, you have to live a life that reflects that. That's how to live courageously. And, you can apply that principle throughout anything in your life, dealing with people, maybe, apologizing to someone, having humility to do it. When you're wrong, having the courage to apologize, that takes courage. Other things, we talked about persecution. The book of Acts is a good thing to study out. Living courageously means even with the smaller things, facing life, facing the facts of your life, dealing maybe with difficult, challenging relationships, whether it be with a child or with a spouse. Maybe your marriage is going through a hard time, but living courageously would mean having the courage to hang in there and to persevere through the hard times and to seek the Lord, seek his face and his guidance and wisdom, and to get the help and the counsel you need to work through your marriage, to not just quit on it. It takes courage to work through a tough marriage, right? It's easy to quit. And some people are going at it for years. Yes, sometimes it takes years of perseverance. And, just focusing in on that this is not just a husband or a wife, but this is someone that you want that person to make it to heaven too. So having the spiritual perspective there as well can help. Living courageously means working things out with a problematic sibling or child, having the courage to, maybe your children are making bad choices and you're feeling like, wow, they're going against every single thing I believe in, but having the courage to take a stand, to have the wisdom with how to approach the situation, seeking the Lord for his counsel, right, and for his guidance in the midst of that. At work, maybe you're facing job cuts, job loss. We talked a little bit about that with the Change series, which we did on the 26th, right? But having courage to ask God, well, what's next? Where do you want me to be? Where are you, what? Because God has a purpose for you. He has a plan for you. He's going to provide for you. Matthew 6 talks about that. Seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and God takes up the responsibility to figure out for you where to live, what are you going to eat, what you're going to wear, all of those things. And so we have a rich inheritance in the Lord. And so we can live as people of courage, of incredible courage because of that. So that is it from this series, beloved. I hope that as you did it this week, it really helped you get past some things that maybe were troubling you, or maybe think about them differently in a new way, and maybe bring some hope whereby you felt hopeless before. Maybe bring some determination and grit in there, whereby you would have normally quit, so that you can walk out the best intention that God had for you. We're going to start on a new series tomorrow, beloved. I hope you join me then. That is it for today. Take care.